Tampa with the first hour kicking off at 6 p.m. Eastern, simulcasting live on ESPN2. We have 5 matches currently scheduled. Let's assume they have 2 on that first ESPN hour. And let's say you're one of those people who doesn't get ESPN Unlimited for free, like this guy here. They expect you to pay $30 for the other 3 matches. You have got to be out of your mind. Now, one match that I would have assumed was going to be on the Backlash card if you would have told me or asked me coming out of WrestleMania, and now we know that it will not be, Stephanie Vaquer against Liv Morgan, because they wrote Stephanie off television on Monday night. She has a legitimate sprain of her AC joint in her shoulder, so she's going to be out for a little bit. I didn't read anything about her needing surgery or anything like that, but WrestleVotes Radio did have a report that the internal speculation is that she could be out for a minimum of 6 weeks. That's a minimum. And there is said to be optimism that she could be back in time for SummerSlam. SummerSlam is at the very beginning, like first and second day, I think, of August. So she's going to miss a chunk of time. As of this moment, though, Liv Morgan is not on this show. But these are the matches that we know of. We know that Io Sky will finally get her one-on-one match with Asuka. Now, I've been looking forward to this match for a long time. I still think it's going to be a very good match. This will not hit quite the same way, though, because we are not going to be getting the payoff that we were all hoping to get, unless they pull a last-second Ron Killings on us here, and then Kyrie makes a shocking appearance and helps Io win the match. You can't discount that 100%, but that seems very unlikely at this point. So it's just hollow. You know, it'll be a good wrestling match. I'm still looking forward to it, but it's just, you know, it is what it is. You know, there was a story there, now there isn't, and it's like, let's do the match, and then coming out of the match, I guess we'll just kind of move into a different direction with these 2 women. But I'm going with Io for the win. And then coming out of the match, I guess we'll just kind of move into a different direction with these 2 women. But I'm going with Io for the win. Danhausen was laid out by The Miz and Kit Wilson on SmackDown on Friday night. And he is going to have to find a partner of his choosing for a tag team match against The Miz and Kit Wilson. Now, this feels like a spot designed for Royce Keys to step in and whoop some ass. Instead, we'll get Jelly Roll. Either way, Teamhausen wins. I don't mind the Danhausen stuff, but fucking hell, man. Like, there is not a single women's title match on this show. Women's world titles or mid-card titles, but they have time for this shit. Maybe they'll add Sol Ruka against Liv Morgan tomorrow night on Raw. Maybe they'll add that to the PLE. I don't know. Sol is on the show tomorrow night. She's going to be signing her Raw contract. But when you really think about it, right, 4 women's championships, not counting the tag belts, and not a single one announced for this show, but they have time for this. We have Sami Zayn challenging Trick Williams for the United States Championship. On SmackDown Friday night, I didn't, again, watch the show live because I was coming home from Los Angeles after the Hog show, so I watched SmackDown after the fact. I was not aware of the gingerbread stuff. This was all new to me when I watched the show back. And I see Sami Zayn in the ring with a giant gingerbread man. It's nobody's in the costume. I don't know what they had underneath, a pole or a mannequin, probably a mannequin, whatever it was. He beat the shit out of the gingerbread man, was ripping shit off of his face. And Trick Williams, the United States champion, had to do a run and he had to make the save for an inanimate object. And then later on in the back, they told Trick, the trainer or the doctor, whoever it was, came out of the locker room and he wanted to know, what's his condition? What's up with the gingerbread man? And the guy just shook his head. They did everything they could. They could not save the gingerbread man. And then later in the show, we had an in memoriam graphic, rest in pieces, for the gingerbread man. Countless wrestlers that have actually worked for this company don't even get a graphic when they die. But the gingerbread man, he gets one. So now they're going to be doing a funeral, I think, on TV this week for the gingerbread man. Yes. I will say, when they had Joe Tess and Wade Barrett at the booth narrating over the in memoriam graphic for the gingerbread man with that dramatic, sad, solemn music playing in the background, I did find that amusing. That's about the only aspect of this that I found amusing. I am going to go in a way that is probably going to be different than most people. I think that Sami Zayn wins back the United States Championship. If I'm booking this, I'm putting the belt back on Sami. I think you go with Sami for the win, and I think you just continue to play this out. I'm trying to kind of revert back to the idea that I had for WrestleMania, where I thought Sami should win there. And you drag this out, you stretch this out a little bit longer, and then, eventually you give Trick the win. Instead, they just put the belt on Trick in a very kind of nothing 7-minute match on the card. And he got his moment, and his parents were there, and that's great, but it wasn't really anything special. And now I'm like, okay, well, if they're still working together here, and they're still doing the angle with Sami Zayn where he's acting like a babyface or thinks he's a babyface, but the fans are booing him, lean into that as much as possible. That's kind of what they did on Friday with having him beat up the gingerbread man, right? Keep leaning into that. Have him cheat. Have him take a shortcut. Have him bust out some gingerbread cookies and hit Trick Williams in the fucking eye with one of them when the referee's not looking, whatever it is. Put the U.S. title back on him and let Trick chase after him to try to get it back. You might even be able to stretch this out all the way to SummerSlam if you want. I'm not saying you have to go that far with it, but it's a possibility, right? SummerSlam is a few months away. It's at the beginning of May, I think, or the beginning of August. We're in the beginning of May. You could get away with it. To me, I think it would actually make things more interesting now if you put Trick in the position to chase, and you would help solidify the babyface turn. He came out there on Friday night, and it's like, I'm still not sure exactly what he's supposed to be on this show. I think this would help kind of fill that role out a little bit more and help better define it by having him in chase mode. So I'm going with Sami Zayn to win the United States Championship. Braun Breaker. And so actually, to go back to that for a second, you know what? If they do stretch this out to SummerSlam, it would remind me very much of the Randy Orton-Christian feud from 2011. That also started around like late April, right? May. It was sometime after WrestleMania when Orton beat him to win the title. And they kind of went back and forth with it, but they got a few months out of it until the big payoff at SummerSlam. No reason you can't do the same thing here with Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, they had a face-to-face at the beginning of Raw on Monday night, a promo segment. It was fine. It wasn't anything, that you have to go out of your way to watch or anything. They both got their digs in at each other, and they made the match official. I don't see this as, I know Seth lost already at WrestleMania because of Braun. I don't see this as a match that Braun Breaker could really afford to lose. For him, it's his first match back from injury, and I don't see the benefit in having him go in there and lose to Seth Rollins in his first match back. I'm going with Braun Breaker for the win, even though I don't expect this to be the end of this between them, but I'm going with Breaker for the win.
Please tell me why it's so hard to find my future husband right now. You do not have to be perfect, but I just want...
between them, but I'm going with Breaker for the win. And then in the main event, we have Roman Reigns defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Jacob Fatu. They ended up going to this a hell of a lot faster than anybody thought they would. I hate to see Jacob lose this. I don't think, though, that he is walking out with the belt. I do think there is a path for that. The Usos were curiously absent when Fatu put that Tongan death grip on Roman on Monday night, even though we know they were backstage. They were there. They never came out to help Roman. And then multiple times on SmackDown over the last couple of weeks, the Usos have come out during Jacob's segments, but they have kept them apart. They have not attacked each other. There's been no physicality with them. The setup is there for a shock title change and the Usos aligning with Jacob Fatu at Backlash. And then you have this, which is only going to fuel that speculation. Roman Reigns is no longer being advertised for any Raw dates in the month of June. He has been wiped from the calendar. Originally, he was listed for Turin, Italy on June 1st, Paris, France on June 8th, Baltimore, Maryland on June 15th, and London, England on June 22nd. So Italy, France, Baltimore, and London. Which one of these is not like the other? That's kind of a random stop in the middle of an international tour, don't you think? Let's just throw Baltimore in the middle of all of that. Now, Roman did say that we were going to see him full-time through the summer. So it looks like that may no longer be the case. Something happened. I don't know what it is. Now, there are fans that are speculating that this was only done to make people think that Fatu was going to win the title at Backlash. No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Or else They would not have announced him for those dates in the first place and had people buying tickets thinking that they were going to be seeing Roman Reigns live. I don't think that's what this is. Now, there's also speculation on social media about TKO possibly asking Roman to take a pay cut, like they did with the New Day. And he's actually dropping the belt to Jacob and leaving the company rather than restructuring his deal. They would never allow that to happen. The entire reason they even put the belt back on him in the first place is because they think he is one of the only real draws that they have, and they want him front and center on these shows. You really think that they're going to let him walk away? Come on now. Use your brain. I think there is definitely something going on with the Usos. I can't sit here and predict a Jacob Fatu title win. I think Roman keeps it. And then whatever happens, I think they'll use it, post-match, they'll use it to further the bloodline stuff. But I'm going with Roman Reigns to retain the World Heavyweight title. And that's the card. As of right now, still one Raw and one SmackDown left to go. They could potentially add a sixth match. I was just speculating maybe Liv Morgan and Sol Ruca get set up just to get a women's title match on the show. They have none right now. Hopefully we'll get that sixth match, though. I will be on YouTube after the show for the live review on Saturday.